Happy New Year to everyone. Welcome to Betting Weekly Live. You with Steve Wyss and Ryan Guertin for the first live show of 2025 here. Ryan, how was your New Year's Eve? I hope you're doing well, RJ.
Yeah, Steve. My New Year's was went well. I went out to dinner, got some good food, a couple good drinks, and overall, I did make it to midnight, so that was good. Last couple of years, I think, I've been sick or it hasn't gone our way, but yeah, no, it was a good New Year's. We had a winning show yesterday, right? Carrying into 2025. So hopefully we can keep that going for everyone and really start the year off proper. But I hope you had a good New Year's as well as all of as well as all the followers, viewers here. See all the comments. I hope everyone had a great New Year's and thanks for joining us. But looking forward to getting through some of the slate today. It's much busier than yesterday, Steve.
Yeah, we're right slap in the middle of a lot of matches live in play. But yeah, my New Year's Eve was good. Thanks, RJ. Well done on a brilliant over winner in the basketball. We've got another basketball play from you later in the show. A-League. I managed to cash my lead in the A-League, which I was quite pleased with. The goals were flowing there. Happy New Year to all. Villa fan, Paul Laguna, Ming Chung, Rick as well.
Godfather.
Tammy, loads of guys joining in. Happy New Year to you all. And a question there from Ben. I am following the games live. I gave two plays in the Championship yesterday. I gave the Luton over, which is 0-0 at half-time. And honestly, I've had that game on a bit, and there's no sign of a goal. So I've given that one up. But Leeds-Blackburn, there's been 3 shots. I said under 2.5 was a good play. And the match has gone exactly as I thought it would so far. Blackburn have sat deep. Leeds have been finding it difficult to break them down. Let's see how the second half goes. There's one bet in play that I'm going to advise now. And many of you are probably already on it anyway because Jack Wright advised it on Monday. But I like Burnley to beat Stoke on the money line, -108. Jack Wright advised them to win to 0 on the Monday show. And it's more than likely to end 1-0 or 2-0. It's 0-0 at half-time. But just based on not so much how the game's been going, it's a typical Burnley game, not that many chances. But Burnley will find a way to beat Stoke at home. They should do. Stoke are not a very good side. They have just changed their manager or sacked their manager, which is a slight concern. But I'll be really surprised if they can last 90 minutes at Turf Moor, avoiding defeat. So that would be the only in play. I've been looking at the metrics around the Championship. There's not a lot of action going on. There's not that many shots being fired, RJ. I don't know if some of these players are hungover from last night. They won't be. But, certainly in the Championship. Anything catch your eye in play at all?
Yeah, no, to touch on that, in the Championship in particular, Steve, it's, metrics are low, goals are low, shots on target. Not many teams have even a shot on target registered right
I know. What's
the
going
first
on?
45 minutes. So, I don't know if some teams just approach it it shouldn't matter. I think it just could be just the way it is today. But I do. Well, I'm not sure what the line is, Steve. I have Bet Rivers up here. I'd have to find it. But I was on Mansfield pregame -0.25 on the Asian handicapping, and they are up 2-1 at halftime. So I'm not quite sure what the line would be. It probably wouldn't really be favorable to take anything there at this point. But no, nothing really caught my eye, Steve. I've kind of been traveling all over from basketball to even a couple bowl games. I've been all over today, so I don't really have any looks from a live perspective at the moment.
Yeah, if you're betting on something live, then put it in the chat now. I'm sure there's loads of people watching games, different games to what I've had the Leeds game on. I've had a bit of the Luton game on. I've scrapped the Luton game now. I can't be bothered with that. I've written that one off as a loser. Maybe they can fluke 3 goals if it's in the second half. Going to keep my eye on Leeds, my own team. Hopefully, I'm hoping we can win 1-0. And, if it looks like Leeds are getting on top, there might be a goal. It's one of those weird games. I might strike over 0.5 in running, but also cash on the under 2.5 pre-game. So one of those weird scenarios. Just looking through the comments here. There was someone asking, Tammy Fagan, what was my take on why Chelsea did so poorly? I don't know. And this is something I think the Premier League guys will address on the show they're going to record tomorrow. That's a very good question. I mean, no one really saw that result coming at Ipswich, 2-0 win for Ipswich against Chelsea. Chelsea not even scoring a goal. But I think the best one, I saw a couple of people on X saying that Chelsea struggle to break down a low block, struggle to break down the defensive teams. I think Forest gave them issues early in the season. That Chelsea are much better against teams that are more open. That's the only thing I can think of. I mean, you'd expect them to go to Ipswich though and win. Opinion on MK Dons? I don't really have one, Ben. I don't really follow the lower leagues too much, apart from local teams up here. Nigel Seeley would be a good man to ask about MK Dons. But here he is. He got a 4-leg parlay with them to finish top 7.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they were one of the favourites to win the league. So I think you got to. I mean, they're well backed. I think they've got an owner. The ownership is, I think, foreign, and they may well make some moves in this transfer window. But yeah, we've got matches to talk about today, which are kicking off later, of course. Where shall we start off with? Well, we've got Brentford Arsenal, but let's go with the Championship because we've got Hull City against Middlesbrough and Sunderland Sheffield United. The Hull City, that is the earlier kickoff it's going to be 12:30 Eastern time. So in about an hour and a half time, less than that now. Hull City got a new manager. It's his 6th game in charge. Ruben Celes, the former Southampton boss, plus 190 for Hull City. Middlesbrough plus 117, over 2.5 goals, and minus 122 now. And the bet I was looking at was both teams score, yes, but you have to go down to minus 157 to bet that. If you're happy with a minus 157 bet, then that would be the angle I would go with here because Middlesbrough, I can't trust their defense. They've got goals in them. I think Middlesbrough are the better team. And if Hull had not had the recent manager change, I'd be probably all over Middlesbrough here, RJ. But when, this is now his 6th game in charge, he's had a couple of wins, had a good win at Blackburn, which is fair play. And it's a tough game. I'd like to have the 1-1 draw covered if possible. But, I mean, I think this was a no-bet game for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, there really was no really clear edge that I found, Steve. I think I expect a low-scoring affair, if anything. But this is a really tough one, right? For me, I'd say no bet.
Yeah, I think this is not one to get heavily involved in. Yeah. But I would be looking more towards probably goals. But we know what we're getting with Middlesbrough. We know how they're going to play.
Yep.
It's just the Hull angle we're not sure about because they're doing a lot of different things recently. Sometimes no bet is the best bet, but we do have some picks in the second Championship game. Sunderland against Sheffield United here. And Sunderland now minus 104. Odds on minus money favourites to beat Sheffield United. You can get as big as plus 240 now. Over 2.5 goals is at plus 116. Obviously, Sheffield United have had a good season so far, but they lost against Burnley. They only drew against West Brom at home. A couple of injury problems. Sunderland are up there in 4th. What's the bet you like here?
Yeah, so I found a slight edge here, Steve. Sunderland 4th in the Championship, 44 points. Sheffield 2nd, technically 3rd right now, based on the draw going on in the Burnley match. But they're sitting in a good spot with 49 points. I like Sunderland minus 0.25 on the Asian handicapping line right now on Bet Rivers. It's minus 129. I locked it in a bit ago at minus 125. So looking at this, right, Sunderland with a 1-0 loss against Stoke City, a 2-2 draw recently against Blackburn, and a 2-1 win over Norwich City. The Sunderland side is just strong at home, Steve. Right? They're unbeaten at the Stadium of Light. Right? Stadium of Light is their. I found that name to be
the Stadium of Delight. Some of their fans like to call it, but yeah,
Delight. Yeah. Playing really well at home, right? And then you look at the Sheffield United side. They had a 1-1 draw against West Brom. They lost to Burnley 2-0. They did beat Plymouth 2-0. Stadium of Shite. And they play pretty well on the road. They actually are unbeaten in their last 6 away matches. So they're no slouches. Obviously, based on their rank in the Championship, we can see that. And I think looking at a trend or head-to-head perspective, Steve, Sheffield's dominated some of the more recent encounters. But looking at Sunderland, right? They have Wilson Isidore, right? He's contributed, leads the team with 6 goals. You look at Sheffield, their top scorer, Tyrese Campbell. And then just simply put, right, Sunderland's unbeaten home record this season. I think that minus 0.25 right here is a good play. I think based on the fact that it's number one, I was following where the movement was, where the money's coming in, since the line's been released. And I just think this is a good, favorable opportunity here for this Sunderland side at home to kick off the new year with a win against, a relatively obviously tough opponent, but I think they can get it done.
Yeah, minus 0.25 on the Asian handicap is at minus 129 now. That's a better bet than Moneyline minus 104 for me. There's not much difference there in the odds, but you're getting half your stake refunded if it ends a draw. So that's a far better value line, in my opinion. That's a very good spot, that is, RJ. I'm going to add a bet for this game as well, and I'm with Sunderland. I'm going to take their team total over 1.5 goals at plus 123. Now, I think there's, based on the odds and for the money line and this team total goal line, there's a presumption it's going to end 1-0 if Sunderland win, which could happen. But we've got to mention here that Sheffield United have just lost their massive defensive unit, Harry Sutar, to injury for the rest of the season. Big Aussie centre-back, who's a huge part of their game. This guy's, I don't know his exact height, but he's a mammoth threat. And to lose him, probably for the rest of the season is a huge blow. So I think defensively that's going to give them problems. We saw that where Burnley scored twice against them a couple of rounds ago after he came off injured. They could only draw against West Brom. Sunderland, this is a team that have scored plenty of goals this season, 36 goals in 12 games at home. I just think it's a big price for them to score 2 goals or more against a potentially unsettled back line, which is going to have to reshuffle and organise itself. And eventually they'll probably they'll get someone in January, they'll settle down again. But I think this is a good time to be against the Sheffield United defence. And they're going to have to lean on their offence, I think, to get a result here, which can be patchy. Let's just see how these results go with Leeds and Burnley. I mean, if Leeds and Burnley win, the pressure's even more on Sheffield United. If Leeds and Burnley drop points, I think both teams will suddenly fancy this game. Sunderland especially, actually, would still think they're in the automatic promotion hunt. But, minus 1/4 goal for Sunderland for you, RJ. And I like the team total goals over 1.5 for Sunderland. Florence Nightingale, Happy New Year to you. And the very best of health to the Betting Weekly Life community. Very well said. And we know if we've got a problem who we're going to go to, Florence. Hopefully we can all stay fit and well in 2025. Beggars End, good afternoon and Happy New Year to you as well. DCB, I think we've got a Newcastle fan in the chat here. Newcastle, that's a team flying right now. DCB must be loving life as a Newcastle fan. Big rivalry with Sunderland, of course. He won't be cheering on Sunderland today. Big game of the day comes in the Premier League, of course. Brentford against Arsenal. I'm just looking through the goals. Have we had a second half goal yet in the Championship? We have. Coventry have equalised against Cardiff. Cardiff down to 10 men as well. A red card in there. Paul Laguna. It's raining heavily in Burnley. It tends to happen most days, actually, Paul.
Who would have thought?
It's in Lancashire. It's in the Pennines. I played golf actually in Burnley. Lovely golf course. If anyone's ever played it, and you overlook the town, an old mill town, you can see the stadium from the golf course. On a nice day, which doesn't happen too often there, it's a lovely spot. But it is often raining heavily there in Burnley. Happy New Year to Rafa Silva as well. He's hoping Leeds win to cash. I've got the game on. I think if Leeds win it, it's 1-0 or nothing, Rafa. Blackburn are being really, really tough to break down. Any darts tips? Put them in the chat if you've got anything. I've been watching the darts, but I'm just not really a better on the darts too much. I watched Dobie win against Going Price today. Dobie looks quite good. Right, Brentford against Arsenal in the Premier League game. The random one Premier League game on New Year's Day. Brentford are plus, just let me get the latest prices now with Bet Rivers. Plus 525. There's been a move on Brentford. Someone put that in the chat earlier. Brentford now plus 525, Arsenal minus 200, tie plus 340. And someone was asking why we think that this might have changed. The over 2.5 goal line now is at minus 165. So what's happened is the money's been coming for the under. And I quite like the under here, and under 3 goals is going to be my bet for the game. But unless there's some random team news that we don't know about, that's the only thing I can think about, RJ, for this contest. Let me just. I know you got a lean for the game, but I'm going to point people in the direction of the unders here because I think the goal line of 3 on the Asian line is a bit too high. I think under 3 Asian goals, minus 127. And the main reason is the head-to-head between these two, especially the managers, Thomas Frank against Mikel Arteta. Thomas Frank has always played 3-5-2 against Arsenal in all of the 7 matches against Mikel Arteta. Now, Brentford often play 4-3-3, but he does bring the 3-5-2 out against big teams, especially in matches where he thinks he's going to have to defend. And every single meeting, Mikel Arteta against Thomas Frank has gone under 3.5 goals. Every single one. There's been some matches that have contained exactly 3 goals. Arsenal have won to 0 in 3 of the last 5 meetings. But I think under 3 Asian goals at minus 127. You could also look at Arsenal win and under 3.5 goals at plus money. And even Arsenal win and under 4.5 goals is at minus 137. So I think Arsenal will find a way to win, but they didn't look like they were tearing up trees against Ipswich in their last match. I could see this being 1-0, 2-0 Arsenal, or a close, tight game. What do you think?
Yeah, as we see in the chat, right there, Saka for Arsenal, that is a massive loss, right, for them. But I've been looking at this match all morning, seeing where the money's going, and I did have a slight lean on Brentford plus 1.25 on the Asian handicapping line. It was around minus 122 a little while ago. It's now shot down to minus 137 on Bet Rivers. And both sides, Brentford in particular and I mean, Barath here says in the chat, right, that Brentford does have quite a few injuries. I'm not necessarily concerned with that. More so at home, they're a very strong side. But, I mean, you look at their recent performances, right? They've only won once, and I think it was December 7th was their last win. They lost against Chelsea. They lost against Newcastle. They lost against Nottingham at home, which they've been one of the strongest sides in the Premier League. So maybe something's shifting with this team, and I'm not certain they may be as dominant as they were, towards the beginning of the season, but I still think plus 1.25, plus 1 is a decent play here. I'm personally not on that. I'm not putting any money on this game. It's just more of an opinion, more of a lean. But at home, historically this season, they've been a very strong side. So I think it's favorable, especially seeing where the money's coming in. But it'd be honest to see what happens here from now till kickoff. But I was more focused on the initial movements, and it was favoring Brentford. Then it flip flopped to Arsenal. So for me, it's just, I don't know. It's a tough game.
Maninder says he saw a journalist tweet about sickness room in the Arsenal squad. This might be a game if you are strongly considering placing down serious hard cash on it. You've got to wait for the lineups maybe to be comfortable.
Lineups just came out.
We've got them now. Have we got them now?
Yeah, we do.
Can you read out the Arsenal 11? I'm just going to try and find it now. Yeah, I've got it now. Yeah, here we go.
You got
David Raya in goal.
Yep.
Calafiori, Gabriel Jesus, Martinelli, Mourinho plays. Noah Neri, who's he? I don't even know who he is. Odegaard passed his
17-year-old.
Who's that guy?
17-year-old midfielder from the Arsenal youth academy.
Wow. I've never actually seen him play, I don't believe. Ethan Nwaneri. No idea how good he is.
No.
So that's probably why then, isn't it? We see the
youth.
Arsenal lineup there.
Right.
Yeah. Don't underestimate youth, by the way. I mean, on the bench, looking now, Jorginho's on the bench. Declan Rice is on the bench. Trossard's on the bench. Zinchenko, Lewis Skelly, Kirior, who I know quite a lot of Arsenal fans don't rate. But Brentford have injuries as well. Let's not forget that. They've got loads of problems. De Silva, Aya, Rico Henry, Ben Mead out, Pinnock, Thiago. I mean, some of these have been long-term. They do get Flecken in goal. But, I mean, Flecken, every time he plays their goalkeeper, I feel like he could get injured mid-game. He always goes down at some point, clutching something. Yeah. So he could easily come off halfway through the game here. I think someone mentioned their DCB that a few weeks ago, both teams score over 2.5 would be, I think it would be nearly a banker. But I agree with him. I think Brentford are transitioning into a more of a, balanced team, defensive team at times. I'm a little bit worried about Brentford. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. I think the injuries are really affecting this team. And they've got a massive game coming up soon. I think against Southampton, right? It might even be the next fixture. Yeah, it is the next fixture, 3 days' time. That's a huge fixture for them. They can't go there and lose. At the minute, I think Southampton beat them because they're not very good away from home.
Brentford away from home, yeah.
So I'm just a little bit worried about Brentford, but I think they're going to approach this game to keep it tight. And if they lose the game, at least only lose close or respectfully. Try and get some momentum. And Arsenal are fine with that. I think Arsenal are going to be working really hard in this game, but Arsenal are a very good unit now. They know they can win ugly if they need to. So I think 0-1, 0-2 could be worth a go. But I do like that under 3 Asian line. I don't see it exploding into an end-to-end. The danger would be if Arsenal just play really well and grab 3 on their own,
Minus 127 right now on Bet
under 3. That's my bet of the day. I don't want to say best bet of the day because there's not many going on. Under? No, there's not many going on. No, well, yeah, you're putting pressure on me now, RJ. It's unders and me don't usually go hand in hand. Portsmouth 3, Swansea 0. Sheffield Wednesday 3, Derby 0. Who had that on their bingo sheet for today? I certainly didn't. Portsmouth 3-0 up against Swansea. I quite rate Swansea. West Brom as well. Just lost their manager to Valencia, Carlos Corberán. Yeah. And they're 3-0 up against Preston. Bit random there. Still no goals in the Leeds game or the Burnley game. Burnley have had no shots on target yet, but they're racking up the shots. Paul Laguna says Arsenal 1-0, 700. Plus 700, 2-0, plus 650. You could split those. I mean, Winter 0 and Arsenal tend to go quite hand in hand, Paul, I must say. Declan Rice on the bench surprises me. Was he affected by this virus? Maybe he was. Let's move on to the basketball before we finish the show. You had a good winner yesterday, RJ, and the match that you are targeting, I need to go back here. Which is the game again? Remind me, RJ, because you've got to pick on. That's it. Philadelphia against Sacramento is the match.
Philadelphia, yes.
Yes, the 76ers against the Kings. And now you've cashed on a good over, and I know you're a big over man normally, but this is a bit au contrarian for you. You're going under. Is this the theme of the day? Unders. You've got under 22. Under 224 is the bet. You can slide the line here. Yeah, under 224 is at minus 117 with BetRivers.
So that's what I like, Steve. I do like the under here in this match. The match is 10 p.m. Eastern time, so it's a late one. It is on the West Coast in Sacramento, California. Philadelphia 76ers 13-17. They're 11th in the Eastern Conference, and Sacramento's 14-19, 12th in the Western Conference. Some of the big injury news, right? Joel Embiid is out for the 76ers, their star center, their star player. Andre Drummond is questionable with the toe injury. Eric Gordon is questionable. Kyle Lowry's questionable, and then they have a couple long-term notable injuries. And then for the Kings, Keegan Murray, he's doubtful. Jay Crowder is questionable. And, some of the key players for the 76ers time, Tyrese Maxey has been a stud lately. He's averaging 26 points per game. He's been consistent, and he will need to be crucial for the 76ers side with Embiid out, right? He's going to be the guy that needs to step up on the other side. Actually still on the 76ers side, you have Paul George. He's averaging about 15 points per game. He's also going to have to step up in terms of Embiid's absence. Excuse me. On the Kings side, De'Aaron Fox, He leads the team with 27 points. He's their primary offensive threat. And then you have Domantas Sabonis, right? He's really, really strong player. Probably close to a double-double every game. He's a really pivotal player. But with that being said, looking at the point spread, 76ers plus 6.5. Kings right now minus 6.5 on Bet Rivers. I'm looking at under 224 points at minus
117.
117.
Yeah.
The reason why, number one, is kind of the way, again, the early movements happen with the line. Joel Embiid is sidelined. That's one of the main reasons it's driving this line down. He's their leading scorer. It's going to hinder their offensive output, no doubt about it. The Kings have seen the total go under in 4 out of their last 5 home games. And, it's the defensive matchups. The Kings are 16th defensively. Nothing to brag about, but I think with the loss of Embiid, I think the 76ers have been on the road, right, since Christmas. So they're about a week or so now on the road. I think fatigue's setting in a little bit, and honestly, I think under 224 is a good look here. I think this line will start coming down a little bit. I'd expect it to go to 223, maybe 222 by kickoff. I'm sorry, by tip-off. I'm so used to talking about soccer, but yeah, that's my other strong play of the day here for everyone. So under 224, Kings 76ers tonight.
Yeah, and that was a 10 p.m. Eastern
tip off.
I love that.
Yes,
I love that tip off. How different sports use their analogies to actually get the action started. But yeah, Philadelphia 76ers, Sacramento Kings under 224 points in the basketball. Good winner yesterday. He cashed with the over, RJ. But yeah, just looking through some comments now. DCB, are we going to do an EPL round 20 today? No, we're going to leave that to the experts, Nigel, Jack, Dan. We'll be in the recording studio tomorrow, and they will get the show. The show should be out by in about 24 hours' time for that. It's an interesting looking card, I must say, for the weekend. Tricky one in patches, so I'm gonna see what the experts say about that. Let them. They're in good form on the Premier League show, so we'll let them crack on with it.
Absolutely.
But Spurs Newcastle, really interesting game on that card, by the way. What are your thoughts on that one, guys? This you won't believe this, RJ. That there still hasn't been a shot in the second half in Leeds. There's still only been 3.
What are they possibly doing? I'm confused. It's challenging.
Leeds just passing it around. They're trying to work patiently an opening, and then Burnley just put bodies behind the ball. They're stopping crosses, and I mean, at some point, if you don't shoot, you don't score. So
right.
I'm almost crying out now as a fan. I mean, I'm on the under 2.5 goals, but I'm a fan as well of Leeds. Shoot. Just actually someone shoot
Put the ball on
the goddamn ball. Have a go. Test the keeper out, but they're just passing the ball around. It's frustrating. It's kind of gone as I expected it would. But the Luton game hasn't at all. That's both of those sides keeping clean sheets would be a big surprise. Burnley 0, Stoke 0, 71 minutes. I still would back Burnley here just to find a way to get. I mean, Stoke, you can't score against Stoke at home. You got a problem, I think. Stoke are not a very good team at all.
They still don't have a shot on target. 13
shots.
I
don't know how that's possible, really. Roffa, it's a low XG because no one's shooting, basically, mate. Yeah. The best chance for a goal might be a penalty. Actually winning a penalty. Leeds at least looking more lively in that sort of department, getting in the box quite a lot. But this is the same as last season. Blackburn are an incredible underdog team. Anyone who's looking at Blackburn in matches when they're actually a dog, I don't know who they've got in the FA Cup. It's the sort of team that maybe could have an FA Cup run because they are so well suited to being an underdog. Not maybe so good being a favourite in patches, but So to round it off before we go, the two plays we've got in the Sunderland game, you minus a quarter of a goal on Sunderland, minus 129 against Sheffield United. I like the team total over 1.5 at plus 123. Brentford against Arsenal, you've got a lean on the Brentford plus 1.25, only a lean. But I like the under 3 goals at minus 127 there. And I'm thinking, Arsenal and under 3.5, Arsenal and under 4.5, win to 0. 0-1, 0-2 sort of territory. That's how I see it with what the lineups I've seen there. But Rick Haley's on Blackburn, double chance. That's not a bad. I mean, I did say yesterday, minus 335. I wouldn't be getting on Leeds. If Leeds have got a backbone here, they're bringing on the subs now. Oh gosh, Patrick Bamford's coming on. As I say that, Patrick Bamford, who can't hit a barn door. We've declared at 0-0 with him coming on. But Willie Nonto's just coming on for Leeds. And look, if they've really got a serious backbone about winning this division, it's the sort of game you take 1-0, win ugly sometimes. But yeah, any final thoughts before we close the show, RJ?
No, I just wanted to respond to one of the messages in the chat. I think it was back. Godfather asked, "Have I been to Federal Hill lately?" As an area in Providence, not far from us. That's like a used to be. It's an old school Italian. It's good restaurants and such. I have been. It's not the same as it once was, but it is a good place. And I see Paul. I wanted to respond to you. College football, Notre Dame. I am on Notre Dame +1, small play, nothing incredibly confident on, but I do like Notre Dame to win. I am on them +1 for about a half a unit. So for what it's worth tonight. So yeah, there's some interesting bowl games tipping off soon. Today's overload, Steve. Yesterday was can't find anything to watch. Today is overload, no matter where you look. So good day to. It's raining here. I don't know about where you are, but a good day to tune into some good live action.
It rained here about 12 hours straight overnight. It has now settled down a bit, and I think it's going to be quite cold here in the north of England. It's bowl central, isn't it, over in America right now? Max Gothrow, one of our producers, actually. Shout out to all the producers that have been on the live show, by the way, since we started doing it in August. Over 55, decent number in the Rose Bowl. Ohio sent Oregon there. So yeah, I mean, it's bowls everywhere. I lose track of what all these bowls are, RJ. There's a different one for different things.
Pop Top Bowl, and you name it. There's too many bowls to be fair, but
yeah. Well, best of luck if you are betting on all these bowls and whatever you're taking here. There's been a goal. Luton 0, Norwich 1. My over 2.5 is still. It's got some legs. I'm really worried actually for the Luton manager there, Rob Edwards. I think a defeat against Norwich there could seal his fate actually at the club. He's under a lot of pressure. Luton, I think a lot of people expected them top half at least. They're in a relegation battle now. Norwich haven't won away in the last 8, but they are ahead now. Nunez's goal. If they could win 3-0, Luton could win 2-1. I'd be pretty happy. You never know, do you? I mean, I once know someone who took an under 2.5 goals bet in the Portuguese league. It was 0-0 heading into stoppage time, and Porto won a match 3-0. So you're never dead, are you, until it's over. But,
exactly.
Keep believing. Best of luck whatever you are taking today. And the next 2 days on Betting Weekly Live, tennis takes over. We have got Dan Roebuck with Rory Giwani tomorrow. I'm going to be joined by our senior ATP tennis handicapper, Sean Calvert, on Friday. We've got, of course, it's the countdown to the Australian Open. 2 things I want to talk about before we go. The newsletter. Nigel Seeley's had a winner on the newsletter this already today. There's exclusive plays. Just come on the newsletter. Access to a video each week. James Eastham's got a futures pick in France there. The newsletter has had some. The good thing about the newsletter is some of the handicappers can give some plays in advance, which is not always something we can do. You know, we can give them 3-4 days in advance, even a week in advance. The futures as well, which are well thought out. So do subscribe to that. And also, and I've put it on the description below, the Instagram account is going to be very active in 2025. Because we win Instagram, there's going to be, there will be a parlay every weekend, which comes up exclusively on Instagram first. So do give that account a follow. I'm just actually going to give you a link to the, I'm not an Instagram expert in terms of linkings, but there we go. That's the link. Do follow the Because We Win Instagram account if you've not already, because there's going to be a big push on that this year with exclusive content on the platform. But wishing you all the best, RJ. Great as always doing these back-to-back days.
Likewise, yeah, it's been a treat, Steve. Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, and now New Year's Day. You know, kind of back to the regular scheduled program. It's been a nice time off, and yeah, look forward to catching back up with you soon, and hopefully we kick off the year again as we ended last night with some profit here. So
yeah. Santa Claus received his newsletter in the North Pole. He can put his feet up now, have a good read of it, and place the bets. What more do you want? Yeah, take care, everyone. I'll see you Friday. Dan on tomorrow with Rory Giwani. So until next time on Betting Weekly Live, goodbye.